From Georgia to Maine, Mamaroneck resident Keith Riley hiked the entire Appalachian Trail. Here is Dina Schumacher with a determined hiker.
From Georgia to Maine, the Appalachian Trail is the largest hiking-only footpath in the world at about 2,200 miles. In each state of the East Coast Trail, there are points to hop on and hop off. And we're about to talk to a Mamaroneck resident who hiked the whole thing. Yeah, from Georgia to Maine. Keith Riley, a former LMC TV employee, is here with us to discuss and share his experiences on the Appalachian Trail. Keith, thank you so much for coming in. I'm really excited to talk to you about this. So wait, how long did it take you?
I was hiking for roughly about 5 months.
When did you leave?
March 25th.
When did you finish?
Well, October 16th, but there was some time there where I wasn't hiking. So I took about a month off. I went to Europe and a few other places, yeah. I was supposed to be finished in August, but because of some injuries, I kind of had to delay the hike, so I had some plans.
Are these hiking-related injuries?
They are hiking-related injuries.
What happened?
Yeah. One was just a fall. I slipped in the mud and sprained my knee and my ankle, and it was almost like 2 weeks I missed of hiking, and then I got bit by a dog.
When you get injured on the trail, what happens? Like, you can like radio in, back up, come save me?
So it depends on how bad you get hurt and where you are. I was between what they call gaps. That's a point where you can get on the trail or off the trail. So it's kind of like the worst spot to get hurt because I had to walk 3 miles either way to get out.
With a sprained ankle?
Sprained ankle and knee, yeah. So in that instance, I kind of stopped hiking. I just found the spot where I can set up my tent and kind of just in the morning evaluated whether I was able to walk out on my own, and I could. It hurt. I was going slow. And there's points on the trail where it's not complete wilderness. There's cell phone reception. It's not perfectly reliable, but as soon as I had reception, I called. I had a guidebook that gives you numbers when you're in near towns of like shuttle services or taxis. So I called someone, explained the situation, and they told me where the last point I could call before getting to the gap to get out, because there's no reception at the road. And he just told me where to call, and I would know by then how far.
So this book was really helpful for you on the trail, huh?
The AWOL guy is what I used.
I'm calling it the trail. Is that the proper lingo? What is it called?
The trail, sure.
Yeah.
You can people call it the trail, the AT, the Appalachian Trail.
Okay.
When you're hiking the trail, if you call it the trail, everyone knows what you're talking about.
Yeah, because you're on it.
Because you're on it. If you're not on it, you're probably Appalachian Trail.
Okay.
Some people know what that is.
Okay, but the AT is also
the Appalachian Trail.
Okay. Now, when you were prepping for the AT, how did you know to get this guidebook? What was it? What was it like? Just in case, after this conversation, people are inspired and they want to go out and, maybe try for a weekend, maybe not do 5 months like you did.
Right.
But what was the preparation like?
I watched a lot of YouTube videos. Homemade Wanderlust, her channel, Dixie. She hiked the Appalachian Trail. She just did the PCT this year, so she had a lot of good.
PCT is
Pacific Crest Trail.
So it's like the equivalent, but on the West Coast.
I wouldn't say they're equivalent trails. People that have hiked both of them say they're completely different trails.
Okay.
But
same system though. It's hop on, hop. There's possibility of hop on, hop off, or it also goes the length of the West
yeah,
Coast?
there's spots where you can resupply, get on the trail or get off the trail, whatever you need to do.
So she was pretty experienced and was good.
Yeah. There's a couple other channels I watched too, but you kind of get an idea of how to prepare, what to buy, how to pack stuff.
Physically, did you have to do anything to prepare?
You don't need to do anything physically to prepare. No, the trail will get you in shape. Some people have actually got themselves in shape before going to the trail, got in trouble because they were able to do more miles, and they did that for a couple of weeks, and then their joints started to hurt because your joints, even if you're in shape, your joints aren't used to walking 15 miles a day.
Are you saying it's good to be out of shape and go for a hike?
I'm saying if you hike the Appalachian Trail, you'll get in hiking shape.
Okay.
And it'll happen gradually, so you won't be able to do too much too soon.
Okay.
That was a problem some people had.
Okay.
Because they just weren't used to doing the miles. Other people that have done long distance trails, or a lot of people that were in the military, used to marching, I guess.
Yeah.
They were fine, but there's a few people that were, in good shape and just.
Did you run into, how many people were on on this trail with you? Like, did you hike with people, or you just met people there?
So I went there by myself, started in Mount Springer. It's like northern Georgia, and just met people along the way. It's a pretty popular trail. I think the ATC said last year it was about almost 5,000 people attempted to do the whole thing. About 20 to 25% finish it. So in the beginning there was, I don't know, at each shelter, each designated campsite, maybe around like 50 or 60 people.
Really?
And then after a couple weeks, there was probably like 15 people.
Okay.
So-
Wow. Do you have any like photos of the trail so we could like see what it was like, what your experience was like, maybe talk about it a little bit? Maybe some of these people are in them.
Yes.
Okay, let's
I
look
have
at
some
this
pictures.
first photo and
Okay.
like see what was up.
Take a look here.
What's this we're looking at? Is this a restaurant?
So it's a shelter in the Smoky National Park. It's either in Tennessee or North Carolina. It kind of weaves in and out the Appalachian Trail. But that's the last shelter that actually has a bear cage. You see that fencing in front of it? It's meant to keep the bears out.
Were bears a huge issue?
There are a lot of shelters that have issues with the bears because they know hikers bring in food. You're supposed to either put it in a bear box if there's one located at the site. Sometimes the bear box is filled up and there's no room and you're supposed to hang the bag. Depending how good you are at it, the bear might get it anyway. So they know to come to the shelters to get food. And yeah, the Smokies had a few, I guess,
Okay.
incidents in the past. So they put up the bear cages and they took them down because they found out that hikers were feeding the bears through the cage, just encouraging the bears to come. So they took them out on most of the shelters. I don't know why that one was the last one that had it, but
Okay. What else do we have as far as your images go? Do you had some other animal encounters?
Get bit by a dog.
Oh man, was it
We
a
have,
wild
we have a picture
dog?
of that. No, it wasn't a wild dog.
Do we have
A dingo.
Oh, that's
So that was a couple
graphic
days
content
after.
for the
This was a couple days
viewers.
after the bite. That's actually on my hamstring. It's close. It's kind of hard to tell.
Wait,
but that's
what
like the back
happened?
of my knee.
So this is one of the injuries that took you off the
Yeah,
trail?
it took me off the trail. Yeah, it's about a
Okay.
week. I was hiking towards Catawba, and there's a family it was a Sunday, so they were out for a weekend thing. They had some packs on, so I guess they overnighted, and they had their dog with them. The dog was on a leash, so everything seemed okay. They moved off to the side because I was hiking faster than them, and I just said thanks and walked on by. I saw
it
the
nipped
dog,
you.
and it looked at me and didn't growl, didn't bark, nothing. So I thought, "Yeah, that's cool, and I walked by, and as soon as I got in front of it, it bit me right in the back of the leg.
Sorry.
Yeah.
All right, what other images do we have? Hopefully something a little happier than these. What's going on here?
So this is Neal's Gap. This is about 30 to 35 miles in the trail. It's kind of like the first major gap where you can get on or off the trail. I think there's a couple other road crossings, but here there's an outfitter there, and it's near a town.
It looks like a tree.
That is a tree.
Yeah.
There's a tree at Neal's Gap.
Oh,
I believe
okay.
is how I introduced that picture.
Oh, nice.
So basically, at this point in the trail, you've been hiking for 3 or 4 days, maybe longer, and a lot of people realize, hey, this isn't for me. This kind of sucks.
Okay.
And kind of one of the traditions is you take your hiking shoes or your boots, you tie them together, and you throw them up on that tree.
If you're quitting,
If you're
you can't
quitting,
do it?
yeah.
Okay.
If you're not going to quit, definitely don't throw your shoes
How
on the
did
tree.
you feel after that like fourth or fifth day, or seeing those shoes up there?
The shoes I thought was pretty hilarious.
Yeah.
And it was nice. It was there's a hostel there. I forget what it was called. At the outfitter had a hostel at Neal's Gap, and so it was kind of nice. I take a shower and have some hot food and just kind of relax a
Now,
little
what was
bit.
the motivation for this entire hike, though? And this also might entail like what kept you going through the hike and why you weren't one of those who kicked
Quit. I read a blog, like, I don't know, 12 years ago, that just kind of got me interested in hiking the trail. I was always into hiking, like nature, the outdoors. Never thought I would do anything like the Appalachian Trail. I thought the people that did it were nuts. They sort of are. When I read this blog, I'm like, wow, this is pretty awesome. The stuff that they go through and like the culture of the trail, like, seems pretty awesome. And I hiked a section of the AT in Maine called the 100-Mile Wilderness a few short years after that, and decided, yeah, I want to do the whole thing one day. And
Okay. What was the toughest part of the trail? Like, was it the bite? Was it the sprain? Or was it the elements? Because you're sleeping outside for 5 months. Like,
I mean, well, you do go to the hostels occasionally and sleep
Okay.
inside.
so you were able to cut out, go into town.
The single hardest day I would say was when I fell and sprained my knee and my ankle. It was raining. It was cold. It was pretty miserable. I came pretty close to quitting.
Yeah.
You know, the next day after that. And then I would guess we had a lot of rain this year in 2018. I think the ATC said it was the rainiest season since 2003. There was one stretch where it was 7 days of straight rain, another one of like, it was like 10 or 11 days of straight rain.
What was it like? And how did you maintain like your focus?
I guess my goal is to like just get some miles done. Sometimes the trail was it was a grind. It wasn't really fun at all. And when it was raining like that, that's one of those points where it's just like you have this goal, you want to get to Maine, you want to get to the end.
What we need to make sure that the viewers understand is like, what are the key hiker tidbits you could give us? Like, what's something that you need to know about the trail?
One of the things, the tradition that they have, I think that started sometime in the 90s, was a trail name. You don't get called by your real name usually.
Is this to protect your protect your privacy, or so like?
No, it's just a fun thing to do.
Oh.
Okay. Usually you do something and someone will kind of throw out a name because you just did something really stupid or something funny or whatever, or something that kind of describes you.
You get named.
And people throw out a name, other people might like it. And my trail name was Dragon Sticks. When I went to Mount Springer, my family dropped me off. My brother and sister-in-law and nephews were with us, and they were going to summit the mountain with me. It's only a mile up, a mile down, really easy mountain. And Sam, my 3.5-year-old nephew, was too scared to go on. It was super foggy, and he was too afraid. And my sister-in-law, Alicia, says, well, Sam, what's wrong? Why aren't you coming? He says, well, I'm afraid. I said, well, what are you afraid of? He says, I think a dragon's going to get me. So I told him my trekking poles were dragon sticks, and they chased all the bad dragons away.
Super cute.
Yeah.
And so you rode Dragon Sticks for
So-
2,000 and almost 200 miles.
It was about maybe 15, 20 feet on the trail when I got the name Dragon Sticks. So yeah.
You know, that's really, you're a very good uncle, Keith. What is the adjustment been like coming back to, you know, all this, sleeping indoors for one, and then, you know, now reporting to work for
Sleeping indoors is an easy adjustment. The hardest part is the amount of food you eat. I was eating about 5,000 calories, probably more a day when I was on the trail. So you're used to eating a lot of food, and you're used to eating when you go into town. Like, you would order 2 entrees easily, and still you can eat snack later on if you wanted to. So trying to curb that appetite.
Oh, yeah, cut the appetite down.
A lot of people gain a lot of weight after the trail.
Yeah.
That's probably the #1 adjustment, is trying to get the
It's food.
appetite under control.
All about food.
Yeah.
Are you planning on hiking the trail again?
It was a lot of fun. If I do the Appalachian Trail again, it probably won't be until I retire, just because it takes a lot of time commitment. You kind of want to go there with no responsibilities. So most people that are there were either retired or, you know, kind of fresh out of college.
Okay, so maybe in another 5 to 10 years or 20 years, we'll hear
Yeah, I
another
don't think I'll retire in
story.
5 years. So yeah, maybe
We'll hear another story.
maybe you'll hear
about
another
you on
story.
this trail.
Sure, another
And you would
20
strongly
years.
recommend people maybe trying the hop on, hop off technique, because it
You have to get off to resupply, otherwise you'll starve yourself.
being a
So-
weekend hiker, I mean.
Oh, you mean like a section hiker? We don't
Yeah.
really talk about that. Some people will do it like a week or 2 weeks at a time over
Yeah.
a period of 10 or 15 years. Whatever you can do, whatever floats your boat. I kind of getting completely involved in it and kind of wanted to.
Because there's sections in New York that you can go ahead and do that. That's how I learned about the AT. Is like I was hiking and I was like, what's that sign? That trail sign, and it led me to the AT. I just want to say thank you so much for coming, Keith. This was exciting to hear about. And if you want to hear more, you want to get updates on Keith's journey, you could go to lmctv.org, search Keith's amazing story. You could see more photos and hear more about his adventures. So thank you, Keith, for coming in. And
Thanks for having me.
we're back to community stories.